All right. And we are rolling. We're kicking off our coverage, 2 days of live coverage here at the Envestnet Elevate Conference in Las Vegas. And we're kicking off with one of my favorite guests, repeat guest, Matthew Jarvis, founder, CEO of the Perfect RIA. What better guest to be kicking off goRIA coverage here at Envestnet?
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming to my hometown of Las Vegas. Chuck, funny story about living in Las Vegas. Everyone wants to know what it's like living in Las Vegas. And they say, well, what do the locals do on the weekends in Las Vegas? And I'll let all your listeners know what we do is the laundry, the grocery shopping. We take the kids to sports games, and we do the same things that everybody else does.
That's not completely true, though. I saw your post recently. You have a monster trailer with some pretty cool toys.
I do, yeah. My son and I do desert racing. So out here in the desert, there's a race almost every weekend. In fact, we'll be out racing this weekend. So yeah, we do have a lot of fun with that.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So I was here at a conference, and we'll get to some RIA content in just a moment.
Yeah.
But Vegas has a lot of cool outdoor things to do. It's not just drinking and gambling and whatnot.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of really cool things to do. So I remember I was at a conference, and there was like one of those, team building exercises afterwards. And they took us into the desert with these dune buggies.
Oh, yep.
And, we're getting all suited up with the helmet. I was like, wow, they're really putting on a show here. They're like, and if you flip, don't worry, we'll come get you. I was like, flip? It's like a family show here. 2 people flip.
2 people, yep.
We head out into the desert, and I'm like driving, and all of a sudden the lead guy was just like, whoosh. I was like, these guys are for real,
fast,
man. It was no joke.
Yeah.
A lot of fun, though.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Our machine will do triple digits. It's a race machine.
Wow.
And my son, who's 14, drives. This is a whole other podcast. So he drives. I co-pilot, which we call co-dog. And so to have a 14-year-old doing 100 miles an hour while you're in the passenger seat is its own experience. So
wow, what a lucky
we'll talk about
kid.
risk. We'll talk about risk management later.
Yes, indeed. Okay. So we were talking off camera about what we're going to talk about. And we came up with the idea, let's talk about what's happening with the big news, Commonwealth and LPL. What are you hearing about this?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of news about this, and for those of us not at Commonwealth or already at LPL or wherever, this news applies to all of us. And Chuck, I know you know this, but a lot of times it's easy to say, well, I'm not at Commonwealth, or I am, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But there's lessons that we can all draw from this, lessons, Chuck, that you and I are very passionate about. And I think the big one that's coming up are some of these retention offers, that let's just call them what they are, they're loans, the loans that are being offered, not just by LPL, but by other groups as well. Yeah.
So, okay, retention.
Yeah.
So you get this big check, looks fantastic, sometimes seven figures.
Yeah.
Right, easily for a lot of these folks.
High 6, low 7, yeah.
Okay, but isn't that your own money being given to you in advance in a tax inefficient way?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is always your money. This is not specific to LPL. It's anytime you're getting paid. I just did a big M&A transaction with my practice. You're always getting paid with your own money. There is no magical pool of money somewhere. And I know he said, well, I'm at 107% payout. Well, you can't be, one. And two, it is always your own money. It doesn't mean it's bad. We just need to understand that going in.
Right, you have to do the calculus on it, right?
Yeah.
So do you mean to tell me when I'm sitting at the blackjack table and they're giving me free drinks, those drinks aren't free?
They're 100% free. And the lights here in Vegas, those are all paid for with taxpayer dollars. I don't even know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, not built on winners.
It's built into their profit.
It is.
Right? So it is essentially my money that I'm losing, they're giving me a little bit of it back, at least in the Vegas context. But let's talk about some of these loans.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I know you talk a lot about taxes as well.
Yes.
Your brother certainly does.
Of course.
I have heard, I've never taken a check, right? Because I've always wanted the independent route. And when I do the calculus, I'd rather have a higher payout forever than a lower payout forever and front-loading some of my money in advance. And I don't mean to be terribly negative about this, but I've reviewed a lot of these, and I don't see it panning out any other way.
I don't see it panning out because, again, those loans are being forgiven 1 year at a time. The other thing that people don't factor in, like the math is bad on its own. What we don't factor in is the amount of, inertia is not the right word, like the opposite of inertia, where you're not willing to look at other options. Like I'm sure you've talked to people, Chuck, like, well, hey, listen, I've thought about making a move. I know I'm not in the right spot, but I have this loan that I'm going to lose on. Part of the reason they set these up is it makes it really sticky, but not in a good way. Good for them, not good for us.
Well, that's exactly right. And it just limits your options.
That's right.
And for 10 years, I mean, my gosh, you better be pretty darn sure that everything is going to be good over the next 10 years, because you're either stuck there or you're going to lose a lot of your money that you kind of front loaded to them.
Yeah, and they're not going to walk away from that. This isn't like, hey, in 3 years, if you decide to go somewhere else, it's okay, it's between us. Like, no, they're coming for that money. Also means, heaven forbid, something happens to you or me. I get hit by a bus, I flip over a side-by-side in the desert, whatever it is, like they're still going to want to get paid. So what is now already a messy, complicated transaction just got messier and more complicated.
I think so. I mean, definitely some there's another side to this too, right? And people need to look at it. But I think what we're trying to get at here is don't just look at that number, that nominal figure, because there's a lot baked into that may not be to your best interest long term.
Yeah, and I think, and Chuck, you're a numbers guy and I'm a numbers guy, but we're still humans, and if you dangled a high 6, low 7-figure check in front of me, it's going to distract my thinking.
Absolutely.
I'm going to look at that and say, man, $1.2 million, you know what I'm going to do with that money? I've got to sit down with somebody that I trust who can look at that objectively and say, hang on a second, 1.2 million, well, you're going to lose 100K in overrides or 150K a year in overrides for 10 years. Like if you need to borrow $1.2 million, let's go talk to a bank. You can probably get it for less.
Right, exactly right. And that doesn't even start talking in depth, at least, about the tax inefficiencies of doing it that way, too.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct, right? So you've got this ordinary income. It's taxed in the least favorable way. You've got all this stuff about it being forgiven. It complicates the issue. It's not free money. I guess that's just really the thing. Like just like the free drinks in Vegas, they're not free. Whoever's paying for that, they know what they're doing. Warren Buffett used to always say, if you're ever at a table and you can't figure out who the patsy is, it's you.
Oh yeah, I love that expression.
And when I just need to know when I sit down at a table with someone who can write $1 million check, I'm the patsy at that table. Like, I feel like I'm a smart guy. You're a very smart guy. I just got to understand the reality.
Yeah, so we talk about this a lot when it comes to M&A as well.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of folks say, well, you know, when are you going to sell Sovereign? I was like, we're looking to sell Sovereign, but to our next generation. We've made an absolute commitment that we want it only going into the hands of the advisors that want to run this firm for the next 20 years, to the operations people at Sovereign that want to run it for the next 20 years. Because from my perspective, you know, to use that expression, I didn't realize it was Warren Buffett. I use that all the time.
Yeah.
And usually the way I put it, if you don't know who the sucker is at the poker table, it's probably you.
It's probably you, yep.
And in a private equity situation, when they're writing, you know, a solid 8-figure check a lot of times, there's no way I'm going to know that contract as well as they do. And I really do believe this, that it could be right for some people. I think we could pivot a little bit to private equity here, Brian, as well. I think who is right for private equity, I'd be curious on your opinion on this, are the people that are really done, like their swan song. I'm not. Like, I want to keep being part of Sovereign for another 20 years myself, but I don't want to run it day by day. My concern is I sell it to private equity. Now, for the first time in 30 years, I have a boss. And I don't want that. Yeah?
Yeah, that's a good point. There's obviously a big assortment of buyers that do different levels of deals. You've really got to understand what you get into. But there is also a risk component, which you alluded to, saying, hey, listen, with Sovereign Wealth, we want this to continue to multiple generations. If I'm taking any kind of high dollar amount, I have to assume that my soul is going to get sold to the next person.
Yeah.
Right? So look at the Commonwealth people. Well, I'm going to be Commonwealth forever until LPL bought them, right? Any PE deal or any PE-backed deal, the only way they can pay those multiples is selling it again.
Right.
The United Capital deal, that was a famous example,
right?
Oh my gosh, Joe Duran, United Capital, these huge
We've been
deals.
talking to Joe Duran's people. We're going to get him onto the show because I can't wait to pick his brains on that.
Yeah, and then they sell to Goldman Sachs and the whole thing blows up,
Yeah.
right? And so you say, oh, wait a second. So we just need to understand that those big dollar checks, A, I'm the sucker at the table, and B, someone else is going to end up with my soul. And I got to be able, do I want to take that risk?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to put a pin in for today.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Matthew Jarvis, thank you so much for joining us.
Chuck, my pleasure.
And we could give a little plug because I'm going to be bringing goRIA to your conference. Tell us about that real quick.
Please come to the Retirement Tax Services Tax Summit. It's going to be September 30th to October 3rd in Tempe, Arizona. Michael Kitces named it a top conference. But more importantly than that, our own Chuck with goRIA is going to be there. So if you needed a reason to go, that's the reason to go. But retirementtaxservices.com, you can check that out.
I can't wait. I hear it's a very different sort of vibe, and I can't wait to cover it.
Very cool.
We'll see you there.
Thanks a lot, Chuck.
Okay, so this is just number 1 of 2 days of live coverage. I'll be back in another hour with some more here at the Envestnet conference in Las Vegas. We'll see you soon. Thanks. And Matt, thanks again.